Welcome back, folks. It's me. I'm over here now, not over there. And guess who's over here? It's the same person that was over there. It's Taco. We're over here, though.
We're over here.
Welcome back.
From over there.
From over there. And over here, if you're over there, you can get your own Victory Battle Pass. Grab it. You get some cool skins. You saw those fun stuff, some interesting music as well. And that's what you can do over there. But over here, we're going to go over there to NA. That's what's going to happen here in the minor league. And we're going to see some strong teams. Exillium is going to go head-to-head, and we're going to see what they can bring to North America.
And it should be a rather interesting matchup because Sanguine have definitely come out with a fire here to kick off Phase 2. Same can be said, though, for a lot of these teams. A lot of teams finding some Week 1 success, except for Cryptic and Exillium. So Exillium hoping to bounce back, but it's going to be tough because Sanguine, arguably one of the better teams in North American Minor League.
Really have enjoyed watching them play. It was a treat to really get them here for mid-season invitational, watching them play on LAN. Unfortunately, without their solo laner, and we can only guess as to what would have happened if Hardcore was there, because the team looked ready to win against Pro League squads with a substitute. And having the full team here is certainly an excitement. So watching the top team go against the bottom team, what are you expecting? What can Exillium do here to kind of get a little bit of an upper hand?
Well, I don't think that Exillium should try to play this match standard to what Sanguine like to run. A lot of teams can have, I think if they've done their homework, which I would have expected Exillium to have done, you know that Sanguine really likes to control the early game. Shinto and Beneathum tend to be catalyst members for this squad, so maybe look to just try and come out with their own identity in terms of finding compositions that I think are going to be a little bit simpler in the execution. Because I think sometimes we get teams that go a little bit too deep into the water there, trying to experiment and figure out ways to overcome the expected winners of a set.
You and I were just on the mic for the last match, which was another kind of David versus Goliath matchup. And with that in mind, if I'm Exillium, one of the benefits to being the underdog is the fact that you've seen Sanguine play time and time again.
Yes.
You've seen them play at home. You've seen them play on LAN. You've seen them play with a sub. You've seen them play with their solo laner in the middle lane. You've seen them play with everything is kind of messed around. And so there's no bones about what you're going to get out of Sanguine. You absolutely know what's coming, and you know how to prepare. So how do you prepare?
Also feel it's important to add that maybe just look for some of the staple bans, ban choices. We know that Shinto likes to run healers in the mid lane, so maybe look to prioritize against Hell, or maybe even strategize with compositions to have a little bit of an easier time applying anti-heal. I know that Sanguine definitely has a much bigger tendency than some other teams to really fall back to those healer compositions. I think it's largely just because of the fact that the team has so much raw synergy as is that they can afford to go for these heavy execution comps.
When it comes down to it, Sanguine has largely found their victories, like you mentioned, Shinto, but also Hardcore over there in that solo lane. He brings an interesting style, because he's not always just the raw brute force type guy. A lot of times you're looking for some control out of that short side.
Kind of reminds me of Maniac, honestly, from Europe that we just saw in the last game, but it's just because of how flexible all these players can be, and that's why in the picks and bans it should definitely just be a little bit more of a focus on some of those heavy priority picks.
Got to agree there. If I'm Exillium, I'm absolutely looking to ban out just the staples, like you said, and we're off to a great start with that. We see Egg's going to go ahead and take care of the Ares, and that'll follow up the Arlong Shen that the Sanguine ban out. And of course, the Isis. Yeah, this is just cut and dry. You can ban this in your ranked games, and that's what Exillium's doing right here. They're just saying, all right, you're going to do work with some really strong choices, so let's just eliminate.
I'd like to see a set ban, possibly, from Exillium here. I think that set is something that Beneathum feels very comfortable with playing. He always has a tendency to get Sanguine to try and first pick it for him whenever it's open. So taking a look towards the jungle and getting Exillium's jungler on something a little bit more pressure-oriented, maybe a Thor possibility here even, since Exillium's in that first pick.
Well, third ban here coming out. And we'll figure out where they're going to go. Right now, it's just walking down the tier list. You're going Isis, Arlong Shen, Ares, just walk it down. The Chronos also up there, so Sanguine kind of sticking to it. And Exillium, ban out the Thor. Yeah, these are the top 5 picks.
With the ban out of the Thor, though, almost starting to wonder if maybe Exillium's looking to prioritize their first pick choices elsewhere. Keep in mind, Jormungandr's still on the table, as is King Arthur, both pretty top-tier solo lane picks and flex pick options. But it's going to be the Muzen first and foremost here for Exillium, which I can definitely respect, but does open up a lot of pathways for Sanguine to try and punish.
And the Muzen Cobb, I think, is along the lines of kind of what you were talking about, where AMC is a very strong pick, but he does require a lot of execution on the way of your teammates. They've got to peel for you. In the laning phase, it's all AMC all day, baby. But when it comes time to the team fight, very easily dove. And so you need to rely on your teammates to kind of keep you alive. Sanguine across the way, well, they're going to grab what you mentioned. The King Arthur comes through, and the Anhur, which has been, this character has just been kind of the favorite of players lately. It's just a strong choice.
Anhur's mid-game teamfight potential is just unlike any other hunter out there right now. From level 7 onwards, because 7 is usually where you have about 4 points invested into the impale.
Right.
That's where your real damage boon is going to be coming from a lot of times when you're looking for buff invades. Also have to mention Desert Fury, just because if you're able to connect with every single one of those spears, it is devastating the amount of damage you can do, which is exactly why Exillium, I think, opted for this Geb. But leaving the set, and Finita wasting no time. I'm convinced that this is for Finita.
That you said it, you called it. I mean, that's exactly where Sanguine are going to go. Feed the player that knows what they can do with it. So the set shows up here for Sanguine. Second round of bans coming out, and already we see the Circuit taken care of. So Sanguine already kind of showing their possible healer hand. Banning a Circuit doesn't mean I'm picking Aphrodite, but there's something to be thought about there. Jean Kui has been a standard ban as well. Terra will be taken out by Exillium, and the last ban will go to the purple team before option to Sanguine.
And again, just feel the relevancy to mention, Shinto has loved that hell plenty of times in the past. Would not be surprised to see him maybe default to it here now. But more importantly, something that I don't think Exillium have realized is just how much they've kind of played into this pick-based composition that Sanguine are opting for right now. This set is meant to just be a heavy disruption force on that backline, and it's going to be real difficult for Muzen and Batz to find the appropriate positioning to really try and break into Sanguine's own backline.
Bellona comes through here, and she'll be played here in an interesting spot. Bellona never really goes away, and I want to talk more about the health of the Bellona anyway, because I really think this is Exillium kind of saying what we were saying, looking for it. The choice of the Merlin makes the hell a little bit less enticing for Sanguine, but Exillium are going to kind of take the enemy's medicine right at them.
There's just so little pressure, though, from Exillium's current composition, and they're not going to have a ton of side lane relief, because Muzen Cobb, sure, he can get a little bit of solo farm out there, but up against the likes of an Anhur, this is going to be a tough one for Exillium.
It certainly will be. Sanguine across the way with the Cabrakan. Game 1. Let's jump into the action.
It's Finch and Aggro here as we do indeed move into Game 1. Thanks, Tom and Taco on the desk. Exillium up against Sanguine, who were SML reps here at the MSI quite recently, and had a pretty nice showing despite not having Yarkor there. So I'm sure they're happy to be back with him here, Ryan, and trying to make some noise in the SML proper.
Look, I expect Sanguine's going to have a pretty good phase 2. They started off great in week 1. Were able to take down their opposition there, which I believe was Armada. So you know that they're feeling pretty good about where they are right now, and Exillium definitely has their work cut out for them in this one.
Yeah, if anyone out there needs to be told, Shinto and Netroid are pretty good at SMITE. So
Correct.
that is no surprise that they've been having this level of success that we've seen from them here so far. It looks like it is going to be Shinto that's piloting this Merlin in the middle lane here for him. Netroid on the Anhur ADC. He'll be going up against, looks like the Gab's actually in duo lane for Exillium this time. We don't see that much anymore. Usually both supports are in the short lane for solos. Sometimes they're in mid, and it looks like that's where Wrong You is, but Osath appears to still be in the long lane.
I don't really understand the start for Exillium, because you would think that you want the Hell to get as much farm as possible. And this is where she'll be at her safest. Level 1, level 2, I mean, there's very little chance that you could really kill her, maybe with an early Panatom rotation, but you cannot take the first 2 waves and then still be over there to protect her when that potential time comes. As it stands, I mean, your AMC's getting your farm, but the reason we see AMC be so popular is that he can still be relevant when he's at parity with everybody else. He doesn't need to be 6 levels up like most ADCs. Netroid is very pleased that he's getting solo farm, and this is going to give him solo potential against Wheels. I'd much rather see Osath in the mid lane than helping out.
Wrong you already going aggressive on the Hathi here, who's been slowed, forced to use beads. Does get hit by some of the Merlin damage, but manages to survive. Khepri comes in to do what he can, but Hunbot's pre-level 5 doesn't feel that impactful, though he's actually getting some good work done. Not quite enough, though, to find any kills. It comes out 0-0.
Rare moment of inaccuracy there by Shinto. Really should have had Hathi dead to rights if he puts that Eclipse and Vortex in the right spot once he transformed to the Arcane Stance. Just kind of overshot it. Good patience by Hathi to not run directly into it, but to be fair, it was pretty heavily overshot by Shinto.
So Khepri's keeping this aggressive positioning, jumps to avoid the stun, but that does mean his jump is now down also on the back end. Wrongyu can't do much more there, though. Shinto has to prioritize the wave. And because of that, 3 members of Exillium are here for the red buff invade. Panatom comes in to be a part of it as well. Disrupted out of those tremors, but it's a 2-man stun for Wrongyu, and Shinto here, along with Netroid, they can go aggressive and look perhaps for first blood. Hathi now stuck inside the tremors, and Netroid weaves in the auto for first blood.
I mean, it was a good timer there by Exillium to know exactly when Sanguine's red was coming up, but you have to check in with Wheels in the duo lane about what pressure is going on there. He was getting out cleared, so it's an easy rotation in from Netroid. We know Hathi's beads are down. You're either walking out with him or leaving him for dead, and Exillium decided it's worth them giving up first blood to get that red buff invade.
And they do at least have the timer. It's just a question of will they be able to continue to establish pressure in the middle lane that will set up for multiple invades. If not, then it's certainly not worth giving up first blood in that case. So that must mean they're expecting, I imagine, a nice play from Khepri and Hathi around this Fear No Evil, leading them then into that red buff.
And now, I mean, I already touched on how Netroid was going to have a lead in duo lane anyways because Osath shared some waves that Netroid was getting solo, but now he gets first blood, he gets to rotate in and get that golden experience. Look at the XP per minute, he's up by almost 100 XP per minute at this point. That is not a good spot for Wheels to be in. Netroid finishes the boots.
Yes.
Immediately Hell is on solo alert. Netroid's going to play aggressive when he comes back.
Yeah, that's the best way to make the best use of your early lead is with those boots right away. He'll be outpacing Wheels quite cleanly. A nice gap shield from Osath keeps Hathi alive here in the middle lane. But yeah, Wheels is going to have to be extra careful now. As we have ticked over to level 5 for most of Exillium. Fear No Evil online, Stinger there for a Muzen Cobb now as well. So certainly some sparks have potential to fly here in the middle lane.
Hathi is going to need Osath basically holding his hand from this point on because Wrongyu is going to have Blink Ultimate and just a little bit of XP. And that Geb Shield's going to need to come in early to try and get Hathi out of that cage.
You know, I just thought about it, but is there a world where Hell ever gets away from Set?
I mean,
unless you have like breastplate and you're healing through it, is all I can think of. Right?
Yeah, you basically have to outtrade him with your own damage and a little. I mean, if you're really far away, maybe you can cleanse yourself of the slow from Skewer, speed yourself up with Inspire. There's potential, but it's not easy. Things have to line up for you pretty well. You basically have to stand in trade and hope that you just deal more damage than the set can deal to you.
Yeah, I think this could be potentially scary if Netroid establishes a lead and Panatom shows any time over here, any face. Could certainly catch this Hell out. It's Wrongyu right now, though, who's lurking. But he is very near a ward. Can't quite tell if he's on it. But I imagine Wheels has some idea he's in trouble.
This is where you have to play patient. Like I said, Netroid has the boots. So does Wheels, but you just really need to be careful when this Anhur is at one of his bigger power spikes, and this is really it. He starts to clear the wave more effectively at this point with Impale, and that means that he feels more comfortable jumping on top of you because he's not going to have to worry quite as much about the minions.
They also were not able to chain together those red buff invades. That first one that cost them first blood was about all they got. So, I mean, of course it sets Shinto down a bit to not be able to be a part of that farm, but it feels already forgotten. As it's now Sanguine who looked like they wanted to be in position for an invade, but not there in time. Osath finds a nice knock-up that stops Wrongyu, and just like that, no kills.
This is still an okay position, though, for Sanguine. I mean, normally you see a draft like Hell and Geb on the side of Exillium, but Sanguine's proven to me that their team fight is so strong, they really play so well off one another, that I'm fine with them taking it slow.
Hathi's been caught out. There's the Merlin damage, and that's enough to at least force beads. Though Wrongyu, of course, dropped his ultimate as well. Hathi now a bit more of an easy target to lock down in these next few gank attempts. But, I mean, you were talking about, because it's so slow here in the early game, I guess we might as well theorize about what's going to happen later on. I mean, Hell and Geb is very, very scary in the late game, and a Muzen Cobb will be plenty of extra damage there for this team. Is there pressure on Sanguine to really run this early game because they're going into that kind of late game?
I mean, a little bit, yeah. You want to punish where you can, as Khepri trying to punish Wrong You, and they'll get on the board. Nice blink, Fear No Evil, and pushing them into the wall perfectly. Nice job by Khepri. Yeah, I mean, there's enough control, I think, in the late game by Exillium, and enough damage and sustain that there is some level of concern for sure for Sanguine, but they've got good anti-heal options. I mean,
Yes.
Merlin applies Divine Ruin really well. Yarkor can easily pick up a Contagion in lane and then use that later on. You don't really need to spec into the Pestilence if you don't want to. And honestly, I think a lot of the reason they don't have to be that worried is because Sanguine is just a strong team of players, and Exillium haven't proven that they're the same quite yet.
That's true. No need to, give too much until you've actually seen them prove it here. If you're Sanguine, pose those questions to them, make them prove that they have those answers. As Netroid and Wheels had a small skirmish in dual lane, it didn't work out. It's now Khepri who's in trouble. That's set damage, by the way.
Yeah, he does a lot of that pretty frequently as well. Skewer is a very low cooldown. And we've seen so much set solo and ADC and all this kind of stuff, you kind of forget what burst damage you can provide out of the jungle. But it's legitimate, man. It is really strong.
It's a nice two-man stun from Yarkor. Panatum is nearby, but because of this positioning, I just
He's
don't
in
know
trouble.
what more they can do. Shinto maybe didn't have cooldowns there available.
Must not
'cause
have.
Hathi was able to walk right back to tower.
Especially with no beads there for Hathi. If Shinto has buttons up in Arcane Sands, Hathi's dead to that Vortex and Eclipse combo, but Shinto must have just used them. That's the thing about Merlin that I think a lot of people don't really respect, is that his cooldowns are pretty long. They don't feel like they are because in team fights he's often dumping 1 and 2, switching stance 1 and 2ing again. But at that point, you're kind of stuck for a while without the ability to really use anything. And so in the laning phase early on, especially after the most recent nerf where he takes it's a longer cooldown for his change stance, you have a lot of downtime as Merlin, where you just kind of got to auto attack and wait until your cooldowns are ready.
It's not easy to always make sure you're finding those timings and maximizing the impact from, as we saw there, when they're not up. Not a whole lot that a Merlin can do, even in situations that are maybe ideal for your team otherwise. As things have slowed down, really, I mean, I don't even know if slowed down is the right word. Even though we got a couple of kills early on, it wasn't off the back of a ton of action, just a couple of picks that led to the 1-1 parity that we're at. A very small goal lead now for Sanguine, both stacking in the long lane as well. I don't know, I think Exillium, despite sharing a lot of farm with Wheels early and maybe kind of being a bit late leaning, I think they're holding on here just fine.
They're looking really good. I mean, it was only 2 to 3 waves that Osath took, and that matters a lot to get to level 5, but at this point it's pretty much irrelevant. Net worth is very, very close between the two.
That's the blink from Wrong You. They wanted to catch Hathi inside those walls, but a good Fear No Evil buys him some time. It's just nowhere near enough. He was so perfectly isolated. Netroid gets Khepri as well to make it 2-0, and they finally turned on the gas.
The idea for Osath to drop the ultimate first might have helped, but just too much really good positioning by Sanguine. Shinto stays so far away and is able to still affect the fight. Panatom is far away and is able to affect the fight. And they just poke Hathi down, who really didn't get a chance to get any damage off at all.
A tough situation there for the Muzen Cobb. I mean, and this is what some of the initial concern was when we were seeing Muzen Cobb played more often, that he can be immobile, he can be caught out by things just like that. A Cabrakan wall that cuts the fight in half and he has nowhere to go. But a lot of the times, see the Muzen Cobbs avoid that by being the ones with pressure, by being the proactive ones, at least their team is, around this Muzen Cobb. But Exillium hasn't done that so far, and that sets up for a nice play from Sanguine and Wrong You.
Now, Wrong You is a bit behind at this point because he hasn't backed to finish off that Gauntlet of Thieves. Osath is already stacking up. He's also level 9, so he's taken quite a bit of farm and been able to stay ahead by just a little bit. But Wrong You is playing the Cabrakan. He's just naturally more effective at this point in the game, having so much CC, whereas Geb really needs a couple levels, get that percent HP stacking up on Cataclysm, and he's got 2 abilities in Shockwave and Stone Shield that you really want a lot of points in. The Shockwave will do relevant damage, but sometimes you need the actual numbers from the Stone Shield, so that's why we often reference Geb as a later game character, because he's got 3 abilities that you really need levels in.
Though, to be fair, if that's the trade-off for Wrong You, is that he'll be a little bit behind Osath, but Shinto gets to be a good deal ahead of Hathi here in terms of experience, and he'll happily make it every time. especially, you said, on this Cabrakan, who can still kind of make up that difference just by being more geared towards the early game anyway. So far, Sanguine don't have to feel too bad about where things have gone after that last skirmish around the red buff. Though I'm surprised they didn't do more. They didn't go to Gold Fury.
Yeah.
Wheels was right there. I thought he stayed too long, considering that fight he just saw. They didn't look for him either, and they didn't end up getting too much on the back.
No gold is a little bit head-scratching, but Hell hits really hard at this point in the game, man. I mean, he's got a 3-level lead over Panatom. I mean, he's going to really chunk the opposition.
Khepri drops Fear No Evil, but he's the one that gets panned up against the wall. Now Desert Fury coming out from Netroid, but no one's helping Wrong You. Wheels removes his HP early. Hathi low in the back, but still getting out damage. Shinto finds Wheels, and he finds one more from Hathi there too. That's a double from the mid lane mage. Shinto's certainly popping here in the early game.
This is what makes Sanguine so good, is that, you know, you said that Yarkor and Shinto and Panatom are all really good at Smite, but so are Wrong You and Netroid, and there's just so many carries on this team.
Yeah.
That you really can't let one free cast in a team fight. Right there, it's big focus on a Wrong You and Netroid, and you get Wrong You down very early, everyone turns to help on Panatom's dive, and then Shinto just cleans you up with ease with this Merlin. This big lead that he has in the mid lane is a real problem for Exillium.
And what's really become a problem is that Hathi hasn't been able to survive these skirmishes when they happen. It's a double-edged sword, right, where Shinto is grabbing more XP and Hathi's missing out.
I don't know the last time I saw an AMC anywhere be bottom of his team on player damage.
Yeah, it's
less
just not
than a
enough.
Gef. I mean, it's just, you are picking AMC to deal relevant player damage. And I understand Hathi's been under siege, but you got to do a better job of getting it out.
No mana here for Khepri. That might spell the end of his life. Panatom catches him out quite easily. The Gara-style sand clones continue to wreak havoc. But yeah, I mean, there's also no reason why a Muzen couldn't do it early either. I know it is early, but a Muzen does relevant damage at all stages of the game. As Pyromancer now under siege. Over the wall came some damage from Exillium, but not in time. Sanguine now add the Pyromancer to the list of accomplishments.
And now it's a 4-level lead for Shinto.
Really?
And here's where it feels really bad as a mid laner, when you're this far behind and you desperately need solo farm. I mean, Osath is a higher level than Hathi at this point. But you can't solo farm because then you just die again. So you need to be splitting everything, but you can't afford to be splitting everything. You're caught in a lose-lose situation very, very quickly in moments like this. This is where Hathi needs to say, hey, leave back camps for me. I need to solo farm those. You know, just be around when it's time for me to clear the mid wave, but let me get some back camps and red buffs and things like that, and make sure I'm sharing everything at this point, because he needs it.
Wow, look at all this respect, the control coming out from Sanguine. They have beads on Yarkor even. I thought confidently that he'd be the one to pick up a Cursed Ankh, but perhaps that's going to be Wrong You's responsibility once he hits level 12, because I assume you need at least one upgraded if you want to try and stop a Hell late.
Yes, you do have, like I said, good anti-heal options on this team. I mean, already Divine Ruin for Shinto. Panatom's got Brawler's Beat Stick. And you've also got great burst damage. These are two really good ways to take care of a healer, is burst them down with anti-heal in hand, so that their last attempt, their last gasp of healing doesn't end up getting them out of kill range. But I would still prefer to see a Cursed Ankh, I would say, for Wrong You.
I wonder if we'll even see the contagion coming out on Yarkor's side, as it's already been picked up by Dishonored. It feels very good into King Arthur, obviously giving you the Fizz procs you want, but also giving Pestilence level anti-healing into that matchup. So I expect we'll see that item into King Arthur very often, but no reason why it can't be done. The hell is Hathi falls yet again, and this was your point. You can't leave him alone here in this middle lane.
Right, and I know the wave's here. He needs to farm it, but back left Harpies are up. That's much safer farm. Let them clear the wave, push it under your tower. Gold isn't even that much of an issue for him at this point. Don't get me wrong, he's very far down in gold, but that's less relevant at this point than the XP is. You just need safe XP. So if you lose a couple creeps worth of tower gold, who cares? You just need to be able to safely farm. And now it's less even about himself falling behind and more that Shinto keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Wheels, this was ambitious to even stick around this far.
Yeah.
Tier 1 tower on left has been dropped. Gold Fury is now spawned as well. So saying we can head back to it. I said it's now spawned. We've actually not had a Fury taken yet, so it's the original Gold Fury that's chilling. And if Sanguine want to grab it, it's here for him.
This is a great time to do it. I mean, Hathi's level 12. You've got a huge lead in mid. and you just got the beads out from Wheels. I love this positioning. Come get red, see if they'll fight you. If they won't, go to Fury.
Hermes starts things off with the Fear No Evil against Panatom and Netroid. That does at least get one set of beats out. Desert Fury already used as well, but it's Wheels who's very low in the backside. Aegis has already been used, and Panatom has found himself a target. Shinto gets Hathy. Someone needs to keep Netroid alive on the backside too, but so far, this fight's come up all Sanguine. They'll lose one, but a full-on deicide for the Chaos side team.
Quadra kill for Panatom, and that's where this set, man, I mean, he gets in there at the perfect time. Panatom's so used to playing these auto-attack-centric assassins. We see him on the Arachne all the time, and he identifies his moment perfectly. Goes in right after Dishonored uses the ultimate, is right on top of Wheels the entire team fight. You called it very early in this game, Finch, that how does Hell ever get away from a set? She doesn't.
Yeah.
And Panatom's doing so much damage, you just can't get away from him, and it's an easy cleanup for him.
And we've seen so many of these sets building a lot more bruisery than I expected. You know, kind of doing Black Thorns, Void Shields, you know, those types of sort of in-between items. But Panatom has just gone all in on I'm killing you when I get within range of you. It's not even utility except for the brawlers. He's just getting in and dealing damage. It's so much at this point for Exillium to try and deal with. And even with Wheels using Aegis and having all this protection around him, it's not enough.
This is my preferred set jungle build. This style, where normally you want to go Jotuns into Transcendence to get extra cooldown to really leverage Skewer all the time. You can't really do that with a healer, but pen option, boots, pen option, Transcendence, I think is the right way to be building set right now, because you just do so much poke damage, and you really want to play it very patiently. I think set rewards patience more than any other assassin in the game. You
really
want to sit at range, skewer, Kingslayer, dive in, you're dead. I mean, that's the way you really got to play these team fights as set. And so it takes a lot of reps, I'd say, to really get comfortable on this god. I think he's one of the highest skill cap gods in the game to play at an optimal level. But man, is the reward there when you start getting it. I mean, he can do absurd things.
That's the Eagles rally. Forced defensively, that's the tectonic shift. That's going to lock in Osath, but he gets enough backup for him to retreat back underneath the tier 2 tower. But Sanguine have already forced the retreat from Exillium. At the very least, I got to imagine Pyromancer is about to go down if they don't even force them in around FG2. For what it's worth, Exillium not going to poke their heads in. They know it's bad, but Hathy, has he not had a hard enough game already? Panatom walks him down in mid.
Just a huge lead for him. Panatom will fall, and tons of gold for Wheels. Celebration all by Kirmi on getting that kill, but they lose Osath in the process. Still, to go 2 for 1 and you kill Panatom and you lose your, irrelevant mid and support at this point, who have really not been able to do anything. That's a win for Exillium in some ways.
It's a good point. If they're going to win, it likely won't be through those two. At least not, I don't mean win, but I mean get this game back to a point where they can at least stall, right? Clearly those two won't be a part of that part of the process, so. You don't feel too bad about it, as Sanguine now threatening the tier 2 tower, stripping away the speed buff as well. They should be able to grab the tier 2 here once the minion gets in, but Dishonored, wants to come in and stop this. Scourge for the disarm slows them down, and the stun coming through as well, but the tier 2 finally ends up dropping, and Sanguine look for the disengage, but they're not going to let that happen easily. Dishonored moves in. Yarkor
still has his ultimate. He's able to escape pretty easily. Wrongview drops it. It is just tremoring away. Wheels has to get away.
And Dishonored has no escape path. He's forced to do exactly what he's doing, trade the best he can, and Shinto finds another kill. Wheels the furthest one forward. That might be a bit too much. He makes it back to the rest of the squad, and Sanguine get what they came for. A nice pick, the tier 2 tower, and they can leave.
Did cost Wrongview that Curse Tongue. He did end up picking that up at level 12, but it's not upgraded, so it's not quite as big of a deal. Ankh really, kind of like Frenzy, really only impresses me once it's upgraded.
Kirmi does find Wrongview, though it costs him the Fear No Evil. That means you no longer have to worry about it if you're on Sanguine. Netroid has an Aegis that keeps him alive from Kirmi, but overhand smash is too strong, but that's a double from Panatom. Waits out the Aegis timer for a triple kill, and now Osath suddenly is left all alone. Could my man find a second quadra here in one game? It's in the cards. Panatom with the quadra kill. This set, man, it's running the table. It's all set right now.
Beast, man. What a beast. And these are two really different styles of team fights that he gets the quadrants, right? The first one, it's a full-on hectic engagement from the very beginning, and his patience really pays off. There, Panatom just hits the gas pedal from moment one and understands we are all dying in this instance. We're all of our health bars are going down. I just want to be the one standing with a sliver of HP left. There's no reason to play it slow, and he's able to clean up with good delay from Netrioid. Everyone really helping him out in order to get the job done, but it still requires him to make plays.
And this, I think this is one more thing that leads to that we don't talk about enough, which is that it kind of forces you to settle for a lot of things you normally wouldn't take. I liked it that they got the kill on the wrong U, but I mean, I don't know if using Fear No Evil in that situation, because it's so helpful that Phantom goes to that exact same dive, and you still have Fear No Evil to get your team away or to take that last bit of HP from him. It's just part of what being behind is. It means you have to make suboptimal plays all the time. It's all they're going to give you.
Exactly. You have to take what you're given, and a lot of times what you're given isn't particularly appealing. As Phantom just gets to sit and wait. He went with a shifter shield towards the back end of this build, and I love it. It fits exactly with what I was saying you want to do with Set, which is sit at a distance, poke out, poke out, poke out. You get all this extra power, and then when it's time for you to commit, you're getting in there and you're getting a little bit of extra protection. And that was a huge difference maker in that dive where he gets very, very low. He needed that extra bit of protection from the shifter shield. This is an item that I really hadn't considered on Set that, in my mind, should immediately be in just about every Set jungle build. I think it makes way too much sense.
That's the second Fury of the game that went down as well. Oni claimed now by Sanguine. They are the holders of an exorbitant 13,000 gold lead, 20,000 experience. That's an absurd amount. And I know we're 23 minutes in, but it's still pretty relevant. No level 20s on Exillium's side yet, so they have plenty of ground to make up just in experience, not to mention gold, where sitting on 3 items is Hathi, who I think we've long since written off as not going to be part of the comeback mechanic here for Exillium.
By the way, is there anything cooler in the game? And this is me saying this above all lightning effects in the game.
Wow.
Cooler than Zeus Detonate, cooler than Pele Volcanic Lightning, than Set after spawning 1,000,000 clones in his ult, all converging them with a skewer on the same person. Is there anything cooler?
It's very, very cool. So's Fire Giant, which Sanguine just grabbed. But I don't know, man. What are some just cool abilities? Volcanic Lightning, I think, might be cooler. Like I don't know. The cone autos are so nuts, dude. Like, if someone comes in to body block you like they're supposed to, and you pop through them with that extended range and still kill someone,
Volcanic Lightning is definitely top 5 coolest abilities in the game, but seeing 8 sand clones all rush through the same person, it's just the coolest thing in the world.
You're right, that's not even an ultimate, so, you know, maybe it'd be fair to say non-ultimates. It's right side Phoenix under siege. Osath doing his best, but this Geb this low is struggling already, but that's a pretty sick Fear No Evil from Khepri that catches Netroid against the wall, and they've already taken the Anhur out of the equation. Yarkor goes for the dive. He does get Khepri, but now he's quite low himself, but Panatom has waited. He's bid his time. He's found himself a double kill. Dishonored, now in trouble again. Osath, he lit for a moment, but that's a triple kill. He's had so many sprees this game, unstoppable for Panatom as right side Phoenix goes down.
Man, we haven't seen a game like this by one player in a long time, where they get all these sprees, 2 quadras and a triple kill for Panatom, and he thinks that maybe that's good with that. You know, we can stay here.
You know what makes Sanguine so good, by the way?
What's that?
Is that next game, Panatom might get 2 kills.
Yeah.
And it'll be Shinta.
Yes.
Or Netrium. Or Yarkor. Like, I don't know. It's just, that's why this team is so strong. They were able to come in, and I think even playing with Oxy, which wasn't quite at their full strength, still make a ton of noise here at the LAN. Sanguine come out on top in 25 minutes over Exillium.
Impressive, man, and that's, you're totally right. You never know exactly who's going to do it. You know, Shinto plays so well in the early game. He's able to get a big lead because they really bully Hathi incredibly.
Yeah, that was brutal.
That's the big thing. Exillium has got to put Hathi on a different pick next game. They've got to get him on something a little bit safer. I just don't know. I mean, AMC is one of the premier pressure gods, and when you deal that little damage in a game like that, even when behind, I don't know what you pick him instead, to be honest.
It's tough, man, and that's just, I think, a little bit too much coming from Sanguine, and clearly Exillium weren't ready for it. They didn't seem to know where to go to try and respond and get some pressure in that game. They've got a little bit of time to figure it out, but not much. It's a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Skillshot, the official production partner of the SMITE Minor League.
Another quick game. A lot of these games have been pretty up and down, Taco, and this one all the way up for Sanguine, looking real strong. Just about 20 minutes of gameplay, and Sanguine able to bring it home.
Yeah, 25, and Sanguine just drops the hammer there for Exillium. And I think that the real downside that I saw, or that I noticed, was honestly just the start. It was just so much pressure from the get-go, and that's kind of what we were expecting to see out of Sanguine. But I mentioned Set at the very beginning as a target ban that Exillium should probably try to toy around with, and based off that slash line from Beneathum, I have a hard time believing that Exillium wouldn't wind up banning that Set.
I mean, Shinto also looked good, 0 deaths and 5+, 6+ kills on the mid laner, but it was all about this jungler. I mean, he had multiple multi-kills. Usually a quadra kill comes once in a blue moon. I think we have 2 on this highlight reel.
I think that the mentality from Exillium was decent, and that was if they make it to the late game, then they've got a really solid counter initiation composition with the Geb and Bologna alone. But problem is, Beneathum just never gave them that opportunity. He was just non-stop harassing the carries, force splitting Exillium away from each other, and Oseth just, there was only so much he can do. He has one Geb shield X amount of seconds, and it's not like he's going to be able to cleanse the damage for everybody or provide that little bit of a health shield for everybody. And that's the problem with Set, is that the utilization from Beneathum of those sand clones, it was usually multiple targets happening at the same exact time for Sanguine to be able to follow up on.
Incredible. Like I said, 2 quadra kills and then a triple kill to end the game with really impressive stuff. And what's fun is that when you watch, or what's interesting I should say, is when you watch Set, it looks like he's doing a bunch of nothing. Like, you just see him run up and people die. The intricacy of that kit is incredibly high. And so it looks easy, but it ain't. Game 2 coming up here. Picks and bans on the way. And Exillium will have the first selection after the ban phase, of course. As far as the bans are concerned, I expect to see that Set banned out. But Ares will be the first ban here from Exillium. Option over to Sanguine. And they're thinking about the tier list most likely, and they are. It's Kronos.
Look, if Exillium don't ban Set here, then I have a tough time believing that they want to try and win Game 2, honestly, because even if Beneathum didn't have the greatest performance of all time, it's the fact that he just got away with way too much and was able to facilitate way too much in that game. And so, without much surprise, that Set does wind up getting banned away. Glad that Exillium was willing to make that adjustment.
Arlong Shen and the Bumblebee as well. Just strong selections here. Sanguine with the last ban. Maybe an Isis will show up. We'll kind of see where that's going. But Exillium, I'm already thinking about what their first selection's going to be. After a game like that, really what I want is some kind of something to stop pressure. What is a good choice to really just say, all right, you guys are kind of leaning on us. Would it be the Isis?
Well, you just have, all you really need to do is just draft safe clear and reliable clear for your laning phase. That's what can help prevent a lot of the early game pressure, and Isis is definitely going to help out a little bit on that regard, but the Thor, one more slips through the cracks, can't ban everything. I understand wanting to take a look towards that Muzen Cobb, but something tells me this could bite Exillium in the butt here and not taking a look more towards that jungle.
It just might when it comes down to it. Solo lane to solo lane. We'll see if Hardcore can just beat up his opposition. I think the King Arthur in the lane is something you can deal with. It's up to Exillium to kind of reach that level of execution. Thor, on the other hand, can be a train wreck if not handled well. So Chernabog, I really like Chernabog to kind of keep up with Thor. Theoretically, Chernabog can show up wherever Thor shows up. And then there's Chalk.
I think Aggro says it best. I can't think of a situation where a Chalk gets locked in that I don't look at the other 100 or so gods in Smite and think something else couldn't have been better here.
So I walk back from that, and I, up until recently, would agree. But I think the change to the basic attack stuff with the rain, right? In the world of double hunter, you're picking a Chalk. They have 2 hunters and a Bakasura. That's what I'm saying. I'll get there. In a world, 2 hunters and a Bakasura, we see a lot of this stuff. A Chalk comes through, great objective secure. The knockup has been changed to be a little bit more usable for a team fight. There's a world where Chalk is good. This isn't one of them. Bans coming out, 2 junglers and 2 mages for Sanguine and Exillium, respectively.
I have a hard time believing that any world involving competitive play of any sort could ever be good for a Chalk, but hey, the teams are always down to experiment, and I'm excited to see what Exillium have up their sleeve to try and bamboozle Sanguine, because as it currently stands, one thing that I will say the Chalk does add is, like you mentioned, the AoE silence from his ultimate does play really well off of the Isis Circle of Protections and even the Turnabout Crystallized Curses with that Vicious Barrage. So some decent AoE control that Poseidon is definitely going to help factor in towards. But the Circuit feels really out of place here for me out of Exillium. You've got everything so based around this space control, and then to opt for such a single target based assassin that I feel might not even be intended for jungle, but possibly even intended for support.
It's got to be, what I'm thinking here is support Circuit, solo Chalk, jungle Poseidon.
Support Isis.
Sure.
It could be a support Isis here. I know that some teams have been experimenting with that one.
Well, you know what? We don't got to guess. We can just watch. Finch and Aggro, give us the game.
Be more than happy to. Exillium up against Sanguine, and a lot of work for Exillium to do to make up for that game number 1. Finch and Aggro here on the call one more time. And Osath, yet again, showing some focus on the left-hand side of the map with this Isis support. So nice call there, Taco.
Yeah, last time Exillium still managed to get blue buff on their side of the map, even with getting out pushed, so can certainly work out. I do think Isis support can be real as well. I don't mind this composition. I also think Chalk hasn't really gotten enough talking about with his changes. The fact that his ultimate now knocks straight up is a huge deal for his ability to set up and help his teammates deal relevant damage. It really does make a big difference, but I don't know. Exillium just got so waxed game 1 that it's hard to feel confident about them.
Well, Hathey's on a decidedly different pick here this time with the Poseidon in the middle lane, so hopefully he can make some adjustments to what didn't work for him so well in game 1. He's already been wall stunned, but nothing more comes from it, so he'll fall back here instead. Last time he was under pressure almost immediately on someone with pressure in the middle lane. How does Poseidon, I guess, stack up in that same situation as Red Buff has now been invaded already?
This is where that start really hurts Exillium as a blink in from Khepri. Got a set of beads, and here comes a rotation from Duo.
Yeah, this might actually work here for Exillium. They've got the numbers advantage. Panatom in some trouble here early. Osath trying to keep him close, but doesn't appear to have the Spear Ball or cooldowns. Khepri going to keep up the chase with a Death Bane, and that's nice. First blood for Exillium, a much better start.
Much, much better. Using that pressure, I mean, as I was saying, this is where that start really hurts them, where they start Osath in the duo lane that they can't really get there to defend the red buff XP, and that's true, but with that escape path not going super well on the other side for Sanguine, it makes it that much easier for Exillium to really go ahead and punish.
Yeah, for Sanguine, they didn't seem as if maybe they wanted to, or as if they knew how they wanted to get out of there quickly, or maybe they weren't expecting that rotation. If you do see Duo come into the jungle from there in lane, you call it, you probably expect them to be going to purple buff, I'd imagine. Maybe you wouldn't be confident they're going right to red, and they had a hard time finding their timing out of there.
Spirit Ball's good again from Osath. Netrioid with a great spot, though. He actually beads just so he can dash in, but Hathey has a beads of his own.
Looks like they were able to fall back. As you said, beads were taken there, so we have a brief pause coming out here right now. So that means you get to come back out to us. What's going on out there, everybody? As Exillium having a better start here to this game, and like I was asking, like, you know, how do you think things can look a little bit different for them in the middle lane this time with around that Poseidon?
You get him not super far behind. And look, Hathey was around the same spot last game, but you just make sure that he gets a little bit more protection. This Isis allows them to be more aggressive than defensive. Osath on the Geb was very much centered around keeping everybody alive. That didn't go super well. Let's just see if Osath can help us kill other people really effectively.
Right. Isis feels so good right now, though, doesn't she, man?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she's a ton of fun to play, and she's always felt like one of those gods I describe as just having so many options. You can always feel like you can outplay people, and I think that does lend itself well to the support role. I think Isis has a bit of a home here in this lane. Obviously, she does well with with farm and items because she can do quite a bit of damage too. But the stun, the silence, the circle of protection, all that stuff happens either way.
Panatom uses the hammer to try and follow up here for Yarkor as Khepri gets harassed very effectively. And this is where Chalk feels very underwhelming. It's pre-level 5. Everyone thinks of Chalk as this early game only type of god. And kind of similar to Anhur, I think it's a misrepresentation of what he does. Chalk is much more mid-game. He needs points in that axe toss to deal relevant damage. At this point in the game, he rarely outpushes super well. His sustain isn't that sick because he doesn't have points in the rain yet. It takes him a little bit to get the ball rolling. It's once he hits level 9 to 11, around that area, where Chalk really starts to bully and rotate super well. His fight pre-5 is, I mean, it's not bad because he's got a massive AoE slow, but he's not really contributing much besides that.
Sana and Yarkor continue to trade things out here on the solo side of the map. But I don't know how much you talked about it. The first blood being on Panatom in particular is actually a pretty big deal, right? To slow down the enemy jungler. That it's Exillium getting the kill and that they don't get punished and they find a response to the red buff is all good. But in particular, slowing down Panatom and throwing him off his timings on this new Thor with all these buffs and changes that he's gotten, I mean, that in and of itself is a pretty big deal.
Agreed. And Khepri had a couple good moments in the early stages last game. He had a couple of decent Fear No Evils.
He did, yeah.
And then the rest of the team, I think, just fell so far behind that it was hard for him to find those. Also, I think he lost a little bit of that momentum and confidence. We'll see if he can kind of keep that up now that he got first blood. This is a team comp at Exillium that cannot afford to go super late. This is a mid-game comp through and through. You want to start grouping up as soon as everyone's hitting level 13 to 15 and really try and force fights at that point.
Who are you keeping your eyes on these two teams? For me, I think there's a lot on Shinto and making really good use out of this Morrigan. Whenever a Morrigan's on a team, I think it's them. They have the most important cooldown on the map. And then on the other side, for Exillium, I mean, a lot I feel like is on Osath. Who are you looking at as kind of the ones that are going to be these big drivers?
I mean, Hathi just has to be a player in this game.
Sure.
I mean, he was minion number 7 in each wave in game 1, frankly. He dealt minion level damage and was killed as easily as a minion a lot of the time. So he has to have a much better game. Osath needs to stay safe and be able to protect everyone for sure, but he could protect people all they want. If Hathi doesn't deal more relevant damage, it's not possible for them to win.
And to be honest, insert any CC in the game plus Whirlpool is always a really, really good combo.
Yep.
So I think that the level of execution is not going to be particularly high. I mean, I'm saying Kermie, Cobra's Kisses, Osath lands a Spirit Ball. The Whirlpool's got to be ready right there underneath them. And it shuts off so much of what everyone on this team wants to do. Netroid, Rongi, Panatom, all of them kind of get sucked back in by that. So I think as long as Hathi's right there on the communication and the follow-up, he should be in a position to have a much better game.
Completely agree with you. I mean, the Morrigan is one of those matchups that I think Poseidon can win pretty easily. You get to crack it off the transformation if you're fast enough and are really expecting it. And Morrigan really wants to close the gap and stun you. Poseidon is one of those gods that really does well when someone's right up in his face. That Trident allows him to out-trade a lot of people.
Netroid in some trouble. Kermie has now dropped
his
last
dash.
breath. Wheels is there as well, so Netroid gets up onto the horse, and that might have done enough. I don't think the dots will do it from here. Netroid survives, and doesn't even use his beach, it's just his ult. But now Exillium, look at the Gold Fury. The Kraken cooldown will be critical here to make sure they time it so that it cannot be contested, or maybe not. They give up on the Gold Fury entirely with Osath this low.
Yeah, I mean, Osath's really low, but Circle of Protection was ready. You've got Kraken, as we mentioned. The big thing is that Panatom has Dunk, and Shinto, by extension, has Dunk. Hathi, poor pathing, gets him killed. Can't be walking that way when you know that they're going to be coming from mid lane. That's a guaranteed way to get walled off and killed, and lost the Purification Beat at the exact same time.
That's a bit of a bummer there for Exillium, man. What a swing. Instead of forcing out Netroid and forcing a fight at Gold Fury with the advantage, now they're on the back foot, not losing the objective, but losing a pick in middle lane when they didn't have to. That definitely is unfortunate. If they can still turn things around, clearly Kermie has some plays he can make on this Circuit, what he was able to do with Netroid just now, but they've got to clean some of this up.
Yeah, but Shinto's already up 2 levels again. I don't know how it happened or when it happened, but he's up 2 levels on Hathi. Panatom is ahead in XP again after getting first blooded by Kermie. Exillium just haven't done a good enough job farming. I mean, they got the first kill and are down in XP, or down in gold currently. You see the first blood, it's a very slight spike up in their favor, and ever since it's been a steady decline on Sanguine's side of the map.
Not too surprised. I mean, we talk about how strong the Sanguine team is all the time, and a lot of that comes from just being able to work the map a little bit better than a lot of these other teams. And still no Gold Fury being considered, though there is some presence over there. That most likely had to have been Totem of Coup that they were focusing on instead. So now then, Ryan, I'll ask you.
Go ahead.
How much are you expecting from some of these Arthurian items? I assume it'll be some Pride wins everywhere, obviously.
Yeah, we'll
When
see
do we
one
get
on
to see our Staff of Mirror? When's that gonna happen? Who's gonna pick that?
maybe a 6th item selection if you're playing
Athena.
Giannis.
Oh well, okay.
Yeah, Athena if you feel like you're techy enough already. I really think Staff of Mirrodin is really, really god dependent because look at it this way: Pride win is going to be good basically no matter what. As Netrioid losing the trade, is Wheel's going to try and keep it going. Netrioid may have to get on the horse to try and get away, but it looks like he played it cool. No, he did use the ultimate. Okay, Panatom meanwhile looks like he full comboed onto Kirmi even without the ultimate.
Oh, nice kill. And they want more aggression. Panatom's waiting over the wall, hammers in, and Hathi wasn't ready. At least gets the Kraken off. Circle of Protection pops too, but Rongyu holds the tower aggro perfectly so that his 2 assassins can make their way out of there. Shinto and Panatom do a good job disengaging, and Rongyu can meet up with the rest of the squad.
Osas ultimate was well-intentioned, but just not going to be enough to save Hathi from an immediate Circuit ult. That healing is obviously not going to end up mattering. Damage mitigation will, but not the healing. Hathi ends up falling. Got the Kraken off that time at least, was able to deal some relevant damage. Got a little bit too poked out, and that's what enables the dive for sure, but at least that time he got some degree of damage off.
But again, another rough start for him. Level 10 now for Shinto, keeping even with Netroid, only a little bit behind our core here in this middle lane. Something more has got to be done to keep this mid lane even, whether it's more pressure there, whether it's Hathi staying further back. They just can't let this Morrigan, and I stress Morrigan, continue to get this far ahead.
At this point, it's pretty much too late for this game. I mean, we're talking like adjustments to be made in the future right here for Exillium. This game, it's too late to catch Hathi up and make him as relevant as Shinto. You're just hoping that he can be your Whirlpool bot and follow up off the CC as you mentioned. That's the good thing about Poseidon. Kraken becomes less relevant by a considerable margin, but certainly that Whirlpool CC does not.
Well, this looks like a problem for Dishonored. My man, he kind of looks like 2 rich parents with their son leaving a theater at the end of it because there were a bunch of guys waiting for them in an alleyway, and just did not go well for them. I was talking about the Waynes. That's what I was trying to do.
Yeah, I got there.
Okay, there we go. Yeah,
I got there all right.
That's what I was trying to do.
That was... Yeah, I liked that, actually. It took some time, it grew on me, and I'm there for it. Nice job, Finch.
Thanks, Oseth. Takes quite a bit of poke. This might have already turned sour for him. Nice silence into Spirit Ball combo. Actually, Oseth played that about as well as you could ask, and Wheels picks up a double kill as the result. Not bad at all.
No, that's where Isis, old patch Isis, dead to rights.
Yes.
You know? It's the fact that the ultimate got a lot better, and the Dispel Magic got
yeah, I think she got a nice
better.
silence into a shield, yeah. And now Pantom's in some trouble. Spirit Ball doesn't quite hit. Even if it had, beads would have been there. But now Kermi in range. Cobra's Kiss. And one more in hand would do it. But he gave up on it?
Trying to reel the whole team back towards Gold Fury, but
perhaps
Shinto has his ultimate ready in the stealth, hunting.
But recognizes that there's not a good target. I stopped there because he found a good target. It was
He sure did.
It turned out. Now he's transformed into the Terra to drop the Earth in Fury. Double dash lets him leave, and mounted archery sets up for another kill. I guess Shinto is the one that got credit for that, despite it being Netroid's damage. And that's a double now for the mid lane Morrigan.
Ouch. And that's where, you know what makes that whole play happen, Finch? XP. It's the fact that Shinto has more base HP, more base power, because he just has so many levels that he's able to get in, deal that damage, and get out at all the same time. If he's the same level as Hathi, he's dead there, without a doubt in my mind.
And that's 2 fights around this Gold Fury that Exillium has rightfully started up and not been able to clean up correctly on the back end. And that time, I think it is more, like you said, that they're running into their lead as Hathi gets caught out again by Panatom in the middle lane. Now 0-3-3. Panatom feels forced into the ultimate just to disengage here.
That's a combination of a couple things. Poor ward coverage by Exillium. They didn't have their entrances warded on either side, so Panatom gets a free gank coming in right there. And then again, Hathi just being too far up in these sorts of moments. Another rough one for him.
Yard Core continue to do as he likes. Aggression now from Khepri, right to the circle of protection, right into the two-man spirit ball, but it's still not enough. I believe a shell was there to keep them going, and now there's turnaround potential. Rongyu and Shinto looking for it, but Wheels slows them down with his own living nightmare, and that sets up for another rotation. This Chernobog ADC has actually really worked for him.
It really has. Holy, what a stun there from Osath. I don't think they had a ward there either. There must have just been communication from Dishonored. They must have seen him on the on Dishonored's screen. Or maybe they did have a ward. Yarkord has cleared it. I'm pretty sure they just put it there. That was still pretty nice. But you're right. Wheels has looked very, very good on this Chernobog. He's been in the right place at the right time. He's been outboxing Netrioid in the duo lane. This has been a much better performance for him on the Chernobog than it was on the Hell.
I agree. I think Netrioid's also taken a couple of fights. I don't know that he should have, for what it's worth. Clearly, I think Sanguine feeling themselves a little bit after game 1. But also, Wheels has just played well on this Chernobog and made life a bit more difficult for the Sanguine squad. This could be bad news, though. He sang his praises, and it looks like we weren't the only ones that recognized. In comes Panatom, but with the wall not hitting, that cuts a lot of that potential in half. Wheels keeps both relics.
Plus, Netrioid is down a full Executioner to Wheels at this point, so taking a boxing trade one-on-one is really never going to work. I don't know about all that, though.
Wheels gets baited in, but I think he might still be in this one. No cooldowns there for Panatom. He hides in the wall, and it's Panatom who gets baited. Yet again, Wheels is making plays.
Cost him both relics, and maybe got a little bit fortunate there. If Netrioid sticks around for even half a second and drops the ultimate, then immediately backs up, then Wheels is dead for sure. But that's not what happened, so well played.
Now there's actually some aggression from Wheels on the left-hand side. I think he'll recognize this one's a lot less for him. He was inside the wall, has now been hit by the Earth Fury, and yeah, no miraculous escape this time. So he finally comes crashing back down to Earth.
Yeah, I mean, one more wave syndrome gets us all at some point.
That is a scary syndrome, isn't it? Just spreading throughout our community.
Rampantly.
Rampant.
And there's no cure. That's the scary part.
Dude, smarter men than I, right, have looked at this, have looked at a situation and gone, yeah, one more. I'm fine here.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, that'll be fine.
Gold Fury, or no, this is actually the Gold Fury being looked at. The original one's never been taken. And this should now go down to Sanguine. Exillium had a couple of opportunities where I think they had a claim to it and just couldn't clean it up, so Sanguine get it. Haiti was almost there in time with the Whirlpool, but Circle of Protection was down too. Shinto transformed for it, so not likely to get a steal.
I like the idea to transform into the Isis there. I do wonder if it's actually more damage to turn into Hathi and Kraken at this point, though he has so few items. I mean, you're just not getting that much bang for your buck, I suppose. Yeah, that's probably the most damage he could have gone with. As the game goes later, Kraken will likely become better secure, but it's about what you want to do. Do you want to just secure the objective and that's it? Kraken might be the better option for you. Do you want to set yourselves up with a good chance to secure and a better team fight after the fact? Circle of Protection healing you all up, making sure you don't take as much damage from the Gold Fury in the first place, ends up being a better turn and burn sort of ultimate transformation usage.
Things have become pretty interesting for our hunters in terms of when they build crit, Ryan, and I think into a support Isis where you already know what the Chalk is building in terms of his relics feels like a pretty good time to me. Short Sword already on the menu now for Netroid, and that could be a pretty nice late game spike for him if he transitions into a fail nod after this for even more crit.
I love it. I agree with you entirely. This is the game where you can go crit. Chalk is one of those gods that you kind of do want the pen for sure, but you've got enough damage across the board between Rongyu contributing with that ultimate. Shinto is going to be chunking. Panatom's going to deal relevant damage. You've got a great opportunity to really waterfall these team fights with a bunch of crit.
He has been stunned. His beats have been forced. A nice wall, a better second wall. Wheels will not even make it up to the sky. Panatom gets the kill credit. But fully responding here is Exillium, catching them between the Tier 1 tower. Stun on the Rongyu. Kraken also there on the Rongyu, but he shrugs it off for the most part. Instead, they turn around this fight. It's basically all Sanguine now as they bring Khepri too low.
Now Shinto up in the sky on the Thor again. Get a full combo onto Hathi. Shinto gets that one. Yarkor will claim Osath.
That's such a sick fight. I want to watch this back. Dishonored falls 2 for the deicide in favor of Sanguine. But I love watching Sanguine play as a team, man. That's so nuts. Preface this, of course, with some things not being right from Exillium, obviously.
Wait, can I guess?
Yes. What do you have?
They didn't eat breakfast this morning.
their Wheaties, I suppose, or
Yeah.
yeah.
Also, they have mismatching socks on. Also, they dropped all 4 ultimates into a Terra who's a higher level than their mid and jungle.
And yeah, didn't seem to do a whole lot there, did it, to the Terra?
Which of those 3 do you think made the biggest difference?
The last one, but mismatched socks is actually can hurt you sometimes.
It really can. Yeah, I agree.
I'm not saying different patterns. I'm saying if you've got different types on.
Yes.
Like maybe like one tight sock and then the other one's like a loose woolly.
A little bit higher up on the ankle.
Yeah, that feels awful, doesn't it?
God, terrible.
It also feels awful when you hear the fire giant sound effect, letting you know that not only have you lost your tier 2 and the fight, but the big time objective as well. And it's Exillium who are getting the bad news. Sanguine in full control, up 11,000 gold here, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, the XP differential in basically every role was a big difference in that team fight, but just bad decision making from Exillium to dump everything into Rongyu. He's got the damage mitigation from his ultimate. It's only 5% or whatever, but it's relevant. It's relevant that is happening, and you're dealing less damage, so you get the full 10% swing. You can dump everything into the Terra if you want, but it's not going to work out for you.
Tier 2 tower in mid will now crumble to the ground. Some much needed farm for wheels and left. It looks like he pushed down that tier 1 tower, but I don't know if he's going to make it back in time. Kermi's already been shredded, so is Osith way in the back line. That is Circle of Protection now popped, but in comes Shinto using the ultimate from Panatom to find himself a double kill into the hammer. That one was actually Panatom. 3 go down. Sanguine take the Phoenix as well, and now they're turning back towards Dishonored. He's been rooted. Another kill for Shinto, and that just might be it.
Man, that fight was Splash Brothers-esque, wasn't it? I mean, that was just a circus between Shinto and Panatom alone. The
Who's
stealth
better at
play.
Thor, huh?
Yeah, that was just so sick the way those two. I mean, Osath is about to get out. He gets Dark Omened by Shinto right as Panatom dunks him. I mean, it's the full court alley-oop basically by those two. That was really a 2-man fight between Panatom and Shinto that ends the game.
Yeah, they won that one outright. That fight obviously comes to mind as the game-winning one, but that fight on left between the Tier 1 and Tier 2 is another one that's worth looking back at a ton if you're on Exillium and figuring out some things that you can try and work on, but not the best showing here for their first broadcast game, right? They obviously we were able to play last week, and we couldn't see that one, but this showed that there's clearly some areas to improve.
Yeah, I mean, Hathi, again, just has a really rough game. Kirmi got off to a great start, was completely irrelevant after that. Wheels felt like he was making a lot of plays, and he was, but too low on the player damage charts, mostly because as soon as the team fight started grouping up, it was 2 quick groupings, and the game was over. Yarkor got to play in 2 team fights that game. You get more in like an assault game. It was over that quickly.
Yeah, just a bit unfortunate there for them, but don't worry, we are not done with the SML just yet. Congratulations to Sanguine on their win, and we'll be right back with the next set.